Hello, my name is Mike Pfaff, and this is my YouTube channel, Living in the Illusion. Now, we had a lot of fun at our last video, and this is the model that we use, and I'll go through a slight review because we're going to move away from this subject onto something more controversial. So this was our subject here. This is what we talked about. Warning, contrary to popular belief, your senses perceive nothing. In the egoic world, there is the belief that, well, my senses tell me things. I see with my own two eyes what's out in front of me. I hear with my ears. I touch with my hand or my body. Smell. Oh, I smell all those fragrances. You don't do any of that. You don't taste either. That's the fifth one. So this was our model, and looking at this is part 2. There were 2 parts. I referenced the first one, and I'll do it again, and then I'll reference this one, just so you get some continuity between the direction that I'm going, threading through the egoic world to look behind it and to encourage you to let go of the illusion and to begin to recognize your true nature. So let's see where that takes us today. In our last adventure, we talked about being embedded in the infinite field of everything, the all, consciousness. That's what we are embedded in. And here we have our 5 senses, and the 5 senses are observing from our vantage point, from our individual vantage point. Our senses are absorbing information from this infinite field out here, which is always moving, which is always changing. And as it gets information, we take that information and we filter it through our belief system, which is uniquely ours. Nobody has the same belief system as you do. And from your belief system, you take this data in, and you filter out what you don't believe, what doesn't match your belief system, what you don't like, all kinds of stuff like that. And on the other end of your belief system, you have, for you, high-graded, purified data that you create your world. So this in here represents your world. And as soon as you create it, you make a memory of it. So as in the next second, this changes, the world that you create fluctuates and changes based on this system, because this infinite field is always changing and moving. So you are streaming this information from this outside energy system, creating your world as like a video. Every second this is changing, and you are creating a new memory of this now gone experience. But when you create it, it's only a mental image. And you take these individual information, these tracks of information, and you bring it in, create your world, and then render from the individual tracks, you render a world. The individual tracks aren't a world. They're just information. You're the creator. You take this and you make your world, you make a memory of that, and you store it. And the next minute, you store another memory, and another memory, and another memory, and another memory. And that's all you had. You got a bunch of memories. Because this moves. It's gone. It doesn't stay. Because this doesn't stay. It moves. It changes. And each person creates their own mental image of their world. So there's nothing physical. There's nothing physical out here. It's just energy. All your objects are in here. Crazy world. And now we're going to talk about our next adventure. And this is our subject for today. And here's what it is. It's taboo. It's taboo in the egoic world. Now, what does taboo mean? It means it's a subject that is embarrassing or difficult to accept. And so we say, well, we can't talk about that. That's taboo. So we're going to talk about a taboo subject today. The strange truth about pain. The strange truth of pain. And here's our little model. We have a little model on the board with you in the center. Now, it might not look like you, but this is supposed to be in general, anybody. And you see it looks somewhat like a little doughboy, but inside of it we have all of these little squiggly lines that represent lines of communication that lead up to the brain. And so we communicate throughout our body with the brain. Now, when we get pain, any place in our body, we have this communication system that sends signals to the brain. And now you're going to be surprised, but underneath this, inside of this model, is the standard model for the illusion. In other words, you're going to get information from the body through the nervous system, the peripheral and central nervous system, up to the brain, and that information is going to be filtered, just like in the other models, and you are going to take high-graded information in and make a determination if it's painful. Now, this is what I want you to get. Before there is a determination, which is a perception, which is an interpretation of the information, there is no pain. You don't know you have pain. There's no way for the conscious mind to be aware of you have pain until the information is interpreted. First, you got to decode it, then it has to be interpreted. Now, I want you to think about all of the information that is going on in the body about temperature, about whether you're hungry or not, whether about you have to relieve yourself, whether about you're tired, whether about it's time to take a rest, whether about anything. It's all full of information. And there are some markers in pain information that gives it kind of like a fast track, but in essence, it's just information. And so you have to decode the information and determine which is important to act upon. And then information from that process, that high-graded information, is sent to the body and tells the body how to respond to the information that it is giving to the upper part of your information system. So this is what happens. Now, here's a little fact, and I wrote some of these down because I didn't want to forget them. And I think I'll put it up here so you can kind of read it along with me. Therefore, in healing pain, in the egoic world, healing pain, the egoic approach is to reduce the pain to an objective state. Objective. What's that? Well, in the egoic world, that means it's physical. So we have to reduce it to an objective state by imposing tests on this information. So we test the symptoms that the person is describing. Okay? And so that then is supposed to bring it out of a feeling, a subjective feeling, and make it objective. Then we can perform medical interventions and physical things, physical treatments. It's all about making it objective, making it physical. So we do physical testing and we take that information and we look at the symptoms and we decide what kind of physical intervention we're going to bring forward. And that's how we work. That's how the medical profession works. Here's the thing. All pain is subjective. None of your pain is objective. It's all subjective. That's the first thing that happens. It's subjective. And then you get, and how does that? Non-physical feelings in the body, which you relate then to this information that goes up here, and it gets interpreted. But the first thing that happens is you have a feeling. Not feeling good, feeling tired, loss of energy, noticing internal feelings, and most of the time, pain expresses itself in three main locations. Headache, somewhere in the digestive system, and what is the third one? There's a third one. I can't remember it right now, but I'll probably think of it later. Backaches. Backaches is the other one. Backaches is the other one. So those are the three: headaches, stomach, and back. This is where we feel the pain first, and it's subjective. What does that mean? It means it's all you. It's going on inside of you, and you try to tell other people what your pain is. And that's helpful, but all you have is language. And the language is very crude when it goes to try to explaining pain. So you're kind of on your own. You can tell other people, they'll have empathy with you. Oh boy, we got to do something about that. But they can't feel your pain. That's the bottom line. So you're like on a little island with your pain. So it's subjective. I have a reference in there to some new information, new studies about pain, and basically it says pain is defined as a subjective experience. Subjective. It means you're creating it. You're creating the feelings, non-physical, the feelings of pain, and you relate them to objects in the body. But basically, it's all subjective, which is a good thing. Because if it's subjective and you have an input through your mind, you can make changes. But if you believe it's objective, then you got to go to your doctor, he's got to do tests, and you believe, because he has a lot of mystical things. He has test equipment. He has background. He has all kinds of stuff. And it's not, if you think about it, and I know this is, you're going to think, well, that's a little crude to say. He's not much different than a shaman who, by his manipulation of you, medication, physical treatments, all that, it's not much different than a shaman coming over you and waving a magic wand, or sprinkling dust around you, or shaking his bones and pulling out. Well, according to the tests, you have whatever you have. Oh, okay, I believe that. Now you're back into subjective. As soon as you say, I believe that, it's subjective. So all pain and all studies, in-depth studies, show pain is subjective. And that's the taboo. We don't want to talk about, oh no, it can't be subjective. I know what I feel, and it's objective. No, it's not. It's not. But because of the egoic belief system, you believe it is. Now there's another part, another hidden part we don't talk about. It's kind of taboo, and it's called secondary gains. You got subjective pain, and there are secondary gains. You recognize this from young children. Mothers who have had young children, you will know at a certain time when they're going to school, they will get up in the morning and say, oh, Mama, I have a stomach ache. Oh, I can't go to school. Oh, my dear soul, my dear little person. You stay home, I'll give you some chicken noodle soup, and you rest, and we'll get your stomach back, and then you go at another time. There's a secondary gain of being sick in your tummy. And as we get older, we do the same thing. So we don't have to go to work, so we can go on SSI, so we can do a whole bunch of stuff. But it's all subjective. Why is it we can't relate it to here? We look at the objective and say, well, I can't figure out where that pain comes from. And we don't want to admit that, because that says It's not real, you know. It's just in your head. That's not true. That's not true. Pain is all subjective. Yes, if you break your leg, you break your arm, you sprain your ankle, you're going to have some physical effects. But the amount of pain, how much pain you can take, how soon you get over those conditions is all subjective, based on your attitude, your personality, who you are, your objectives in your world, all kinds of stuff like that. So pain is a taboo subject, unless you talk about it as a physical thing, an objective thing, and we can do tests and we will show you. Now when you get to the end and they can't show you, or you keep doing physical interventions over and over and over and no relief, you got to look to the mind. You have to look to the mind as the cause. Now I'll reference another video I did. There's two of them, but maybe I'll reference both of them. One of them says the mind, the body. The body is subject, servant to the mind. If you're sick, it's subjective. If you're in pain, it's subjective. But in here we say, oh no, we have viruses, we just going through COVID, we have all kinds of stuff. This is all physical. No matter how physical you think it is or how objective, there is always a subjective cause underneath it. Now, in the egoic world, all we know is this part. And so in the egoic world, in the mental field, in the physical health field, they don't look at the mental health. Mental health kind of adds a stigma attached to it. If you say, well, I have a mental issue, we say, well, you weak sucker, you don't know what you're talking about. Here it's got to be physical, or it's just in your head. And all you got to do is take some medication and you'll be okay. No. Everything is subjective. Now, I'm going to reference another video where it says every decision you make, and therefore every understanding of pain, is subjective. There is no such thing as an objective, purely objective decision. Oh, this is shifting. I want you to get the idea that this is shifting into an area where you can have some control. If it's out here, you have no control. You're waiting for them to come up with the right test, the right stuff, and so you're going to continue having pain. This is particularly true for chronic pain, for chronic conditions. So let's see what A Course in Miracles has to say about this. Oh, and by the way, I'm having a little green tea, just standard green tea today. And here's what the Course says, and we'll put it right up there. Healing is accomplished the instant that the sufferer no longer sees any value in pain. Healing is accomplished the second the sufferer sees no value in the pain. So that's where we're at today. Now there's something else that I wanted to bring out. No, I guess that's it. The important thing is look at some of that reference. When I put a description out, it's usually, like a small blog, and it has a lot of information in it. So have fun with that, but recognize if you have chronic pain and you haven't had relief, look to the mind for the cause. Be good to yourself. I know this is out of left field. I know you want it to be a physical thing that you just get over it like that. We don't want to think about causes in the body related to our past, our subjective understanding of our world. We want to get out of it, and in the egoic world, objective approaches is the one that we use, and only on rare occasions when these don't work, we run out of things to do. Then we begin to look at alternative methods of dealing with the subjective pain. And there are many, but they're not used until everything else after years and years are exhausted. Then you might try some of the alternatives that the ancient have always used. This is an interesting subject. So be good to yourself, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. It seems like there's something I still wanted to talk to you about. One thing, this is counterintuitive to the egoic system of beliefs that your belief system may not accept. As I say this, your belief system may not accept, and consequently, you will stay in chronic pain looking for more physical interventions before you look at the cause. Bye now.